So, welcome everybody to the next episode of our You Have 2 Minutes podcast in association with the Birmingham Speedway Supporters Club. I'm delighted to have with me today our ex-skipper, Danny King. Danny, welcome to the show, mate.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me, mate.
It's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a long, long time. How's it all going? All right?
Yeah, it's been going good. It's been pretty busy. It always is, doubling up, doing 2 leagues, but it's been fun. It's been going all right. It's just the weather's getting the better of us at the minute, but hopefully we've got a few dry meetings coming up, which will be nice, as it is summer indeed.
Yeah, a bit of a purple patch of the weather. And obviously tonight, the reason that we've brought you onto the podcast today is because you are appearing for the Birmingham Brummies tonight, which must be kind of special. I was looking through Wikipedia earlier on at some of the stints that you'd had at various clubs and stuff, and that's probably one of your longest stints, really. You've been to various clubs and stuff, but you were there for a good run.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time at Birmingham, and if things had been different with the way it all unfolded, I'd have probably still been there. So I certainly had no intention of leaving the club. It was good times, fun times, and it was a big part of my career, and it was a time I enjoyed. So it's going to be nice pulling that Birmingham race jacket back on tonight.
Yeah, and even celebrated your testimonial there, which now I think was about 7 years ago, mate. So another 3, and you do another.
I think you'll find it was probably about 10 years ago. I think it was 2013.
Right. So, and you're still claiming that being natural?
It is. I promise it is.
Yeah, so a good old while ago. What do you remember of your times there? I sort of remember people like Ben was with you. Was Cavati there at the time?
Yeah, I think it was Nico's pretty much one of his first clubs when he came over to England. And Nico was a good lad. Considering he didn't speak much English when he first came over. I always remember the team talks with Phil Morris. He was using Google Translate to try and talk to him, and it did the job. It was perfect. But yeah, we had some great times at Birmingham. We had obviously the season which we just fell short when I crashed out, but with Bomber and Doyley and Smolinski and we've had Biani over the years, Kasperzak. We had some great riders at Birmingham.
Yeah, I think was that not the season that Martin started at like reserve and then made his way up to number 1 or something? He was just banging in ridiculous scores all over the place.
That's right. Yeah, we had a great year that year. It was just such a shame to fall short in the end, and it was actually Paul that beat us in the final. I crashed out in my first race, which obviously didn't help, and it was one of them seasons again where we had the same 1 to 7 all season, didn't make a change, and Paul made some changes, I believe, going into the playoffs, and ended up brought in Greg Hancock. That's right, and ended up winning it.
I think I got a bit of a ticking off that year for playing money during the celebrations, and Graham ends up having to apologise in the press for it because I was already banned from the centre green at the time.
Oh, no.
Can't think why. Thinking about those days, we're both sort of laughing and smiling, looking back at them. A lot of people sort of are a bit doom and gloom on Speedway at the minute and how it is in the UK and stuff. When you look about, and I look back at those times, they're obviously with really good memories and stuff, and we're smiling and thinking about it and reminiscing about them. Are you living that same life now? And will you be looking back in another 10 years at the times now and having those same thoughts? Is it as bad as people make out, or are you still loving it?
It's what it is. I always try and make the best out of it. This is what it is, and this is what we have to work with. It could Speedway be better? Yeah, of course it could, but it could also be worse, I guess. So for me, this is my job, and it's important as a captain as well that I get a good team spirit going, and that's something that I always strive to do. We've had teams before where we've had bad eggs in there or riders that don't get along, and it's still important that we have fun and get along as a team because we do have to work together. So yeah, I'd like to think in 10 years time when I look back, I'm still having as much fun now as I was back then, even with some of the doom and gloom around the sport.
Yeah, that's good to hear, mate. Looking at tonight in particular, any predictions for yourself tonight? I'm thinking at least double figures.
Yeah, of course, that's the plan. Double figures every week is the plan. It's going to be tough, obviously. Paul, they're absolutely on fire. They've only lost probably 1 or 2 meetings all year, home or away. So they're going to be full of confidence. But it's a track I enjoy riding, and I know that Birmingham have been a bit up and down lately with some injuries and obviously other things going on. But bringing in Batch, Batch is a class rider. Sedgey's on good form. There's no reason why we can't turn these over tonight. No reason whatsoever. And I know Stuart's certainly going to be pushing for that because he hates losing.
And Poole, a team that you've had some big success with recently as well, not so long ago.
Yeah, that's it. Poole are a great club. They always build a strong team that you can just look at their track record. They've pretty much won everything and dominated for a long time. So and they've started the season in a very similar fashion. So they're on the crest of something and they're riding it out and they're going good. But it's important that we put an end to it as soon as we can. Otherwise, we don't want them to walk away with it. We want to put up a fight and. Even though that Birmingham is not one of my clubs, I'm certainly going to be going out there tonight to try and stop them.
Good stuff. Looking back for you, way back as to where it all started. How old were you when you first got involved in the sport, mate?
So I started like a lot of people in grass track, and I started in that when I was 6, because you can't really race speedway. You can't race speedway till you're 15, as people know, but you can't really start riding much before that. There wasn't all these junior bikes like there are now. Back then it was you didn't have much option. So I did the grass track scene, which was great. I had a good run on the grass track and we enjoyed it. But as soon as I was sort of 11, I suppose 12. I convinced my dad to get me a speedway bike, and once I got on the speedway, it was all I wanted to do. So yeah, I started practicing probably around 11, 12, I imagine, on the speedway.
Were bikes in the family or something? What brought you to it? Right from the off.
It was my dad, really. They were always into the grass track and speedway. I think the usual story, Dad had a go when he was younger, but I think he couldn't, family couldn't afford it, same sort of things, but he loved the sport. So as soon as me and my brother were of age, he got us involved on bikes and it went from there. So yeah, it'll be from that, really.
And your brother there, you mentioned he was involved. Does he have a dabble ever now?
No, he doesn't, although I keep talking to him about it. He lives up in Newcastle now, so I actually get to see him a bit when I'm at Redcar because it's not so far away, and he makes the journey down, and we keep talking about it. And I know he's building a bike, so not for a comeback, but purely for just to get his leg over it again and go and have a skid. And I keep saying to him, as soon as you want, we can go out. And I know he's keen to have a ride because he probably hasn't been on a bike for quite some time now, definitely 4 or 5, maybe even more years. So I know he's keen.
Now, after your time at Birmingham, you moved on to Coventry for a while, and you were saying, I think that was one of your biggest scoring years when you were at Coventry. You were really banging some scores in, but shocking to see what's happened there. But there seems to be development constantly going on with it. I think at the minute they're fundraising to get 20 grand together towards some solicitors because the building company are looking to take it higher to Parliament to try and get the decision overturned about the houses and stuff. I've been a few times to the stadium. I don't know if you've called in as you've been on your way past or dropped in, but the state of it now is shocking. And it really was one of the glamour clubs of the sport at one point. So awful to see.
It is awful to see. And I haven't actually been in myself, but I have seen some footage and some of your pictures as well. So it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible that this is happening. But you have to take your hat off to everyone behind the scenes for the Save the Coventry Speedway, for what they've been doing and how long they've been fighting this. And, to see now that they're raising money for a barrister to fight them all the way, to not let them be bullied almost, is unreal. And it's amazing to see. And I really, really hope we get the outcome we want to get here because, as you say, it's such a big club with so much history, and for it to just be sitting there like that is tragic. And that everyone deserves better than that. So fingers crossed we can get an outcome, a positive outcome, and who knows, maybe Coventry Speedway will be back in the not too far future.
Yeah, and I know we've both got a little bit of a tie to it from working for the club and you racing for the club and stuff in the past, but I don't really think I've seen any other club who've made more of an effort to try and stay alive, really.
No, yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Certainly in my time, I don't remember anyone. But as I say, the committee behind this is very passionate about the club, as you can see, and they are literally giving everything they can to keep this alive. And it's amazing to see. And the support they're getting as well is unreal. As you say, they've started a funding page to help with this, and people are just jumping on it and helping out left, right, and centre. And I think it just goes to show how much it means to not just the locals, but the sport in general, and how big Coventry is and how important it is to the sport.
One of your old teammates who you used to ride with when you were at Coventry, James Sargent, I was speaking to his mechanic a couple of nights ago, Enzi, Mr. Ensville, and he was mentioning that James obviously has come out of the sport now and he'd had a few injuries and stuff. Obviously, you've had a few knocks along the way as well, but he was saying that the bikes and the engines and how they perform now, it's always been a dangerous sport, but it's an even more dangerous sport now because things can really change during a race and bikes can just move on you that you really aren't expecting. What's your experience for that?
Yeah, it's true. It's the way the bikes are now. It's they're a very short stroke engine. We've always had short stroke engines, but now these engines are called babies. They're offset as well, which it's all about producing more power. And unfortunately, we have too much power now for the size of the tracks. And that's probably why you see more and more tracks on the slicker side. It just makes it easier to ride. And I think. Yeah. If you go to a track that's maybe got a bit too much grip on, or it's had some rain and it's a bit choppy and it's a bit holy, you'll see the riders spread out because they don't want to be going into a corner at high speeds on a bike that's unpredictable in them conditions. So this is probably why I think we're seeing more and more slick tracks. It produces better racing for the style of the engines now. But yeah, he's right there. They are difficult to ride, and it's just the nature of the sport and how it's progressed, unfortunately.
Yeah, so you really, really are taking you always have been, but you really are taking your life in your hands more so now every time you sort of set aside a bike. Yeah,
it's just the way it is. As I say, the engines, the way they're designed, they're fantastic.
Is it a worry? Is it a worry, Danny, as you're getting older?
No, no. They're not unrideable. You still obviously a way to set them up, but they can catch you out, and you do see it. You do see riders, even top riders, getting a bit of a muddle sometimes, and bikes taking off on them. But it's just modern speedway. We come to get used to it, and it is what it is.
A lot of people looking also at things that could possibly change in speedway. I've taken some friends to Bellevue last season, I think it was, and I was sort of explaining the rules, and a lot of things that are put there to make the sport more even, like averages and stuff, have always been a good thing. But when you sort of take brand newbies to the sport and they sort of say, so who's that chap who's riding for that team? Oh, he's a guest. All right, so will he be trying if he rides for another team? Yeah, well, he's self-employed, so he gets paid for sort of like what it is. And then also there was sort of like, all right, so that other team have got ahead now. So how come Danny King's coming in to sort of replace one of the juniors in this race or one of the reserves? Oh, well, if you get ahead, you could bring a better rider in against what you'd class as the weaker riders in the team. They're like, well, what's the point in getting ahead? And you're like, yeah, actually, you've got a point. I saw Paul Bowen, who does the electric speedway, and he mentioned something. He said it was quite difficult to explain to people. So your number one is your best rider, and it might either be your number 3 or your number 5. And then your 6 and 7 are your 2 lesser skilled riders. And he was sort of saying if you had it in ranking order from sort of 1 down to 7, which would only mean like a change to the heat formula, you could make it all a lot more simple. Is there anything that you've sort of you see and you think this is so obvious, and if you just change this would make it so much easier for people to understand, or so much easier for us as riders? Is there anything that any things that you think, God, this would just be such a small tweak and it'd make it so much easier?
There always was, and to be fair, it's happened now. They've brought back the classic bonus point, because the last few years, I mean, trying to explain this point scoring system to someone that you can lose but still get points if you keep it within 6 points or whatever it was, and if you can win and get 2 points, but you get, or 3 points, but you get an extra point if you win by more than this, and if it used to get so confusing. So the fact that they've actually gone back to the old normal point scoring home and away, and if there's a bonus point up for grabs, I think that makes it a lot easier, because the last few years that rule has been a bit crazy. But I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to keep the meetings closer and stuff like that. But yeah, there's probably a lot of rules that confuse me as well, let alone some other people. Over the years, we've had some belters, haven't we, with the golden double and 15 meters back and things like this. It's all to sort of keep the crowd entertained, I guess, and you can see where they're coming from. But as a newbie to the sport, yeah, it's certainly difficult to try and understand some of these rules.
Do you think the sport can grow again back to what it was in relation to like crowds and stuff?
I'd like to think so. I'm always an optimist. It's difficult times everywhere. Certainly with everything that's been going on the last few years, money's tight of people and it's very difficult. But Speedway's a fantastic product. It is a really good product and it's entertaining and it's easy to watch. It's 1 minute races. There's no reason why we can't get this sport back up to where it should be. How we do it, I don't know. That's out of my hands. That's up to someone a bit more smarter than me with a few more brighter ideas. But as I say, it's not going to be easy, and I don't see it happening in the near future. But I certainly think that it's possible, and with the right people behind it, there's no reason why we can't get back to where we can be.
And looking at the next 5-10 years for yourself, what do you see yourself, or have you sort of set yourself any marks for how long you want to be involved in the sport? Is it something you're looking at doing as long as you possibly can? Have you got any other ideas for the future for things that you'd like to do after Speedway? Yeah,
it's tricky, really. If someone said to me in the next 5 years, I'd like to think I'd still be racing Speedway. I'm still enjoying it, and that's the main thing for me. I have to be enjoying it. If I'm not enjoying it, I won't be racing because it's just far too dangerous. And I'm getting older. It's not something you want to be doing if you're not having fun. So 10 years, who knows? I mean, that's a long way off. And, there is a good chance I would have probably hung up the old boots by then. But never say never. If I'm still feeling fit and I'm still enjoying it, why not? Why not go another 10 years? Other riders have rode into their mid to late 40s. So we'll see. As to after Speedway, I don't know. Something I've always been interested in, which I'm still interested in, which I'd like to try and pursue, would be a career in the fire service. I've always wanted to be a firefighter since I was a kid, and race motorbikes, and I've ticked one of them off my list, I suppose. So there's no reason why I can't try and see if I can tick that other one off.
You weren't thinking on the lines of, I know during COVID you did a bit of Danny's daycare and perhaps having a little school of children or something, and something on those lines? Nothing on those lines?
Yeah, it turned out I weren't cut out for it as much as I thought.
Well, I hope you have a smashing night tonight, mate. I hope you have a really good time being back at the Brummies. I'm sure you'll get a terrific welcome back there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's when I got the call, I was pleased to do it, and it's going to be nice to be on the home side of the pitch for once.
Great stuff, mate. Well, it's been lovely chatting to you. All the best, like I say, for this evening, and I hope we'll catch up again soon, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Kris.
Cheers, buddy.
Right, there we go. I think we're on.
Yeah, it looks okay, mate. You look nicely staged.
I try my best.
Perfect. And it looks like I could do with a bit of back to black in my beard.
Oh, don't you start, because Ben Barker gives me crap all the time about my beard.
Does he? Yeah.
It's natural. It's natural.
Is that what you're claiming? Okay.